What were your thoughts when you guys heard about, hey, Jackie's getting married and boom?
I was like, we ain't going to that. We have shit to do.
You're fine.
Because we had also committed to taking my mom to our ancestral home.
Okay.
And so I was like, we cannot do these 2 big trips in 1 year. So I was just like, no, we're not doing that. My husband, however, was like, yes, we are.
Hey, welcome to Travel Tuesday Happy Hour, where we interview dope people doing dope things from around the world. And we are in season 4, Voyage 22. But before we begin, I want to let you guys know, please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, like, and click that notification bell so you guys know when the next episode drops. Voyage 22 has been the culmination of myself and my wife, Jackie Jackson, now Jackie Benjamin. We had an amazing experience where we had some friends and family come in and join us in holy matrimony, right? And so 2 of the people that we are gonna have today are gonna be the amazing couple that 1 walked my wife down the aisle and 2 officiated the wedding. So with that being said, can you guys tell us who you are and what do you do?
Greetings, everyone. Jenee Johnson here. I am a program innovation leader in the public health space, but I'm also a founder of the Right Within Experience, which is to amplify humanity, joy, and well-being for people of African ancestry. Mindfulness is a way of helping us to build inner calm and resilience and really be able to take on our various missions with power and imagination and tapping into our intuition grandly. So that's what I do.
Okay. And sir?
I am Claudius Johnson. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and CEO of Sankofa Holistic Health Services. And so who we are maybe 30 to 35 practitioners. We consist of licensed clinical social workers, marriage and family therapists, professional clinical counselors, psychologists, and psychiatrists. Our focus is to give service to our community, predominantly the African American community, and then the brown community. So we are 30 people who come from the community, and we give service back to our community.
Awesome. So where are you guys originally from?
New York, can't you tell? We're Cali New.
So we're in New York.
I'm from Charlotte, Staten Island, New York.
Okay.
Bed-Stuy, for the most part, lived the latter years in Brownsville, but predominantly Bed-Stuy.
So Brooklyn means Staten Island. You know we don't go to Staten Island unless we're going to Jersey. So how did you guys meet?
We met here in California. A mutual friend introduced us, and the rest is just romance and history. And Black people do live on Staten Island. Let's just get that clear. We've been there since enslavement. And if you watch the beautiful documentary High on the Hog, you learn about the Black oyster fishermen who lived on Staten Island many decades ago.
Okay, so now there's 2 parts of the story. So how did this union come about?
It came about, we had a mutual friend, beautiful sister who I was going to school with. At the time, I had been separated from my previous marriage. And she said to me one day, my brother, I have a woman who you just gotta meet. And I said, what? Like that? And so, long story short, Jenee and I hooked up. I called her. And she has this ongoing joke that I sounded like Al Roker. You guys be the judge of that. But in any event, we met at, I think it was a performance by Lettucey.
First date, we went to hear Lettucey sing at Yoshi's, a jazz club here in Oakland, California, where we live.
Nice.
And that was our first date. We went, it was a group date, so I invited him to come along with some friends. we were already scheduled to go out. And I thought, I'm just meeting this guy for the first time, so let's just meet in a group. Because if he's a dud, then I can, So, and clearly he wasn't that. So, there you have it.
But my version was that he seeks around because of the bodyguards, just in case, which I was okay with. And so I saw her just walk into this room, into this space, and I knew, and as he said, it's history. And 20 years now?
Yeah, 18 married and 21 together.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And so with that being said, you guys have probably experienced a lot of travel together, right? So individually, what would you say were kind of your introductions to travel, if any?
Well, mine was to go to the Caribbean because my family is from St. Martin. And so as a graduation gift from college, my mom took me to our ancestral home in St. Martin. So that was my first international trip. And I was raised by those people, my great aunts, grandparents, a tremendous group immigrated from St. Martin to Staten Island back in the 30s. So I really felt like I was actually going home. They would always talk about home. And so I finally got to go home too.
Nice. Nice. And, for you, that was kind of maybe the first time of trying to find home outside of being here, or?
Absolutely. As a New Yorker, I gotta say, we're a special breed. So I never felt not at home in New York. I grew up on Shaolin, but my father's from Harlem. And, at 12 years old, I was taking the ferry and the train, going uptown, dancing uptown, Diane McIntyre, Sounds in Motion. I studied dance at the Alvin Ailey School. At the time, it was in Midtown. So I always felt at home in my own city, but the home of my elders, that was another wrap around, another heart, part of the heartbeat. So I wasn't looking for a home. It was just an extension of home.
Okay. Nice. And so for you, Claudius, what was the first introduction to travel?
Mine didn't come until adulthood, late 20s or 30s, I believe. Before that, I traveled up and down the East Coast in cars. But in terms of international travel, places like Canada, Mexico, and my first journey across the sea to Paris came where we did this backpacking trip. Me and my then wife, we had these huge backpacks, and we went to Paris. We took the train, boat to Brussels, Germany. We stayed with this good witch, what she labeled herself, and just experienced traveling through public transportation. So that was my first experience.
And so for both of you, after that first experience, what was really the driving force for you guys to continue to travel?
Well, for me, I studied the Bible. I studied the sacred text. And in my studies of the sacred text, that took me on traveling throughout the country. So I went to places like Colorado, Gunnison, Colorado, which has got to be one of the most beautiful places in the country, right alongside of the Gunnison River, the beautiful clouds, the beautiful columbine flowers. I was in Arkansas for a year, Kansas. I got to go to Baltimore. So I moved around the country a lot in my studies, and then that brought me from the East Coast to the West. And that's how I actually landed in California. I came here to teach the sacred texts.
Okay. And then so in that, what do you look for in travel, right? So for example, Marrakesh, is it the same thing when you landed there? Were you looking for that same thing, or are there other things that you're looking for into travel as well?
Well, I think at this stage, I look for luxury, to be quite honest. No backpacking across anywhere for me.
Gotcha.
when you're traveling when you're young and when your finances are in a particular place, you do whatever it is that you can do to see the world, to see the country. I'm at a different stage in my life, so what I'm looking for is ease and flow, and a certain level of accommodation and quality. So I would say my early years of travel were definitely different from what I'm looking for right now. When I first went to Paris, for example, in landing in Paris, actually, I was quite disappointed because I thought the vibration initially was very much like New York. And I thought, did I spend all this money to come to Paris and it's just like the city I came from? Mm-hmm. Now, when I got to Marrakesh, North Africa, that was an entirely different energetic. The people, the look of the people, the pace, the buildings, the dry, arid land, and how warm. So very similar to going home to the Caribbean. Right. There was a home, the African part of our African American Afro-Caribbean. So I got in touch with that energy. So now I also look for vibration, frequency, energy. What is the energy of the place? So that's really important to me.
And so, Claudius, same question for you, right? As you start to expand your travel experience, your travel journey, what are the things that you look forward to most when you travel?
I think I get excited by meeting different people, different cultures, and just get a visualization of how we show up. Other people who might look like me, but don't speak English. That's always fascinated me. My first experience of that came when I was in Paris, in Germany. I passed a couple of brothers, on the streets, and I was hollering at them, and they responded, in broken English. And so stuff like that amazed me. But I was also curious as to how similar we were in terms of our way of being. The connectedness, that spirit connection is what fascinates me about people, their food, their cultural, how you connect with somebody like myself, who's, from the Bay Area, originally out of Brooklyn, and what that brings. And I'm fascinated in just talking with them. As a psychotherapist, one of the things that I enjoy just meeting new people. For me, people can be like a good book. They're a page turner. You can't wait to get to the next page. You want to know more about them. And so I travel with that curiosity as well. So I look for that. I typically seek out or try to find where the Black and brown people are. I mean, that part really excites me. I want to see them in their communities. I want to visit the places that they go, where they worship, what they eat, where they shop at, public transportation. So that excites me.
Okay. And so now that you guys have, traveled a lot more together, what has been your favorite trip so far?
Marrakesh. Not just because you're here, but because it's true. What you say that?
Dope. Yeah.
It was amazing. Yes. We went to Marrakesh a little early, ahead of the wedding party. We had thought that we would go to Portugal first, and then we said, no, let's just arrive early and settle in, and really get to be there, to rest, relax, and survey the land for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so we did that. Mm-hmm. And it was an amazing trip. Jenee and Claudius is an exquisite, kind of out of the main thoroughfare resort owned by a Black Parisian woman who has an impeccable sense of design, but also just tremendously warm and open to people and making you feel right at home. It has a very back to that word, right. It has a very homey feel to it. at the same time that the level of connection and service is not pretentious,
Right.
but there's a quality and I'm searching for a word. There's a suavecito to it. And so we totally love that, you know, and our ability to just connect, meet the other guests, go into town, and then do the hammam.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, let me hold on.
We're going to get to that.
Right.
And so, Claudius, for you, what was, I'm probably going to ask this question again, but kind of what made it that special for you?
The landing, coming, touching down on the tip of Mother Africa, realizing that we were there, we were out of the U.S., and then being exposed to the music and being exposed. We had this experience at the airport where these brothers felt like they was just going to go to blows trying to get our service, to get us to ride, in their cars, and come to find out, this is just how they get down. Everybody's trying to make $1. So that was interesting. But the smell, the scent, the language, the call to prayer, I mean, all that just juicy. I mean, that just fascinated me.
Okay. And so with all of your travel, do you guys have a bucket list, or are you still developing that? Because, I mean, you guys are still fairly young, right? You guys are still able to travel. Have your bucket list changed as of recent? Because I know with the pandemic, a lot of people weren't able to hit some of their locations. But since then, has things changed for you?
Well, I don't think it's changed. I think we're just more intent on making it happen. That's the piece.
Yeah.
We always wanted to go to Portugal and Spain and then take the ferry into North Africa. Okay. So that's why Marrakesh was like, what? Marrakesh? Oh my God, of course. So we're going to do that trip. Okay. We want to go to Lisbon. We understand that there's many expats there.
Yes.
And before I left, I met a sister from the Bay Area, architect, who left her career as an architect to start a travel agency, a touring group. And she has a home in Marrakesh. Wow. So she gave us kind of like the 411 on what to expect and where else to go and what to wear and the whole 9 yards. And so she travels to Italy and Laos. So Southeast Asia wasn't on my radar, but now it is because of her. Okay. So definitely want to do some more of the European, Southern European countries. I've been to Scotland and the UK. We want to do some of the Southern European and then go deeper into Africa. Okay. Senegal is one of my places. Everybody thinks I'm Senegalese. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. I claim them, they claim me. We want to go to South Africa and then hit more of the Caribbean, of course.
Okay. And for you, Claudius, what is on your list for as far as the bucket list goes?
Pretty much the same because we've talked about it, we've dreamed about it, we planned, but definitely want to go back to Marrakesh. We do want to go also to Casablanca. We didn't go there, and maybe I do want to try the desert this time.
Definitely.
There was the brothers and sisters on the video. They seemed like they was having a lot of fun there. Right. In fact, they was.
Sandboard.
I said, what? So that stuff like that excites me. I'm adventurous like that. I'll try anything once, but definitely Portugal, Spain, definitely South Africa, and certainly the Caribbean islands.
Okay. And so now you kind of bring me back to touching on your bucket list, right? Coming to Morocco. So, Voyage 22 is a symbol of a couple of things. Both our birthdays are on the 22nd. We've been to 22 cities together. Wow. And so when we decided to get married, it was on 2022. So we decided to call it Voyage 22. Oh. And so Voyage 22 started out to be, all right, we're going to make this a group trip and let's inform everybody and hopefully surprise people when they get there. And I said, yeah, my friends may not make it because they might make other priorities. So we switched it up and told them, hey, it's going to be a wedding. Come on out. I'm going to ask you a 3-part question. One, what did you think when you were told that, hey, Jackie's getting married in Marrakesh? Do you want to go? 2, what was the preparation like? Getting your tickets, getting everything, and then flying into Marrakesh. And then 3, what was that experience? You alluded to it some, Claudius, about how landing there, realizing that, like, you both alluded to it, like feeling home. And number 2, the gratitude or the graciousness of people wanting to like cater to you. So I'm gonna ask the question again, and I'm gonna make sure I walk you guys through it. 1, what were your thoughts when you guys heard about, hey, Jackie's getting married, and boom?
I was like, we ain't going to that. We have shit to do.
Yes, you're fine.
Because we had also committed to taking my mom to our ancestral home.
Okay.
And so I was like, we cannot do these 2 big trips in 1 year. So I was just like, no, we're not doing that. My husband, however, was like, yes, we are. So I was like, all right, then make it happen. And he did. We, sat and finding flights was a little dicey at first because we flew first class.
Nice.
And so finding the right route with the right carrier for the way we wanted to travel.
Right.
And the American Airlines, not the company, but all the airlines coming out of America were not the right ones for us. So he found Air France, and it was I just said how I like things, right?
Yes.
It was a stellar experience.
Yes, it was.
So once we got Air France, I think I have been to Paris before, but I forgot how far it is from California.
Right.
So when I got on the plane and they tell you how long the ride is going to be, that it's 10 hours, I was like, oh my God. But the service was amazing. Right. And so wonderful flight attendants. And she made me several mimosas. Hey. And we had a little ongoing joke about mimosa. She even made me a little stick that said, I love mimosa. It was just like traveling with a girlfriend, actually. Okay. And we're sitting side by side. So that was wonderful. Part 2, the landing.
Well, I want to get Claudius' reaction to that as well, because this is daughter number 2.2 or 2.5. Yes. What was it like hearing her reach out? Was it your daughter that reached out, or was it the Jackie that reached out, letting you know she's getting married?
I think it was Shabisha Sunshine who said to me first that they were getting married, that you all was getting married. And I'm not sure when I met you for the first time, when you and Jay came.
Yeah, that same year.
Yeah, I think was that in the conversation or not?
No.
All right.
I don't know if it was Sunshine or Jackie who said it's Marrakesh, but we got clearly that communication became very clear. Yeah. And then we were like I said, I
was like, we're going. I am not going to miss it. My child, she's getting married, and by that time I had met you.
Right.
And it was like, honey, listen, you're just going to have to trust me, because we're going to go, just a matter of, what we need to do to make it happen. But for me, it was twofold that Jackie was getting married. Oh my God, it was just so wonderful to hear, knowing her the way I know her, and also that it was in Marrakesh,
North Africa. I mean, once I got on board, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. Well, I think also because we believe in marriage, clearly, we understand the energetic of marriage and how that helps. That is the ideal, I'm going to say, in our opinion, the ideal way to move through life.
Right.
In partnership, in couplehood, in the dyad. It is a cosmic, spiritual covenant relationship. And I get other people do a whole lot of other things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this cosmic, very blessed when people have this intention. So we locked in. So even to go to the wedding, we had to practice that, right?
Right.
To lock in. One says no, the other says yes, and then the other says, I will. I will connect, and I will surrender, submit, agree.
Right.
Right? It's all of that. So all of that came into play.
Awesome. And so, we talked, you alluded to it a little bit early. You alluded to a little bit earlier of your first class flight, and kudos to you. I'm trying to step up to your level. Getting there, right? So you guys had to figure out how to get there, right? And you guys figured it out in the most luxurious way. So I appreciate that. And then getting to Africa, like, what was that like? And not just getting there, your experience at the Jenee and Thompson for the first time.
Okay, baby.
It just opened up all types of new and wonderful possibilities, and just dreaming, where we can go. And now, I think we were even talking about, what, honey, if we can rent this house, maybe we can live here for 6 months and live here for 6 months, right? And still work from wherever it is that we live. And to actually really think about that and to get that can very well be a reality.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that it helped us do is break state. But coming out of COVID, 2-3 years, what, how many years? I don't even know. Like, it just feels like, Twilight Zone, right?
Right.
So it helps you break state and drop. When in my teaching, I teach about going into the dream room. It's a process that Walt Disney used to go into the dream room and just dream, no holds barred. So it helped us break state, get out of what you're in, and just go into the dream room and really think about, who do you want to be, and actually be it. Not like wait for something. So while I was there, oftentimes I would cover my head and I would flip my scarf, and I would just be who I can imagine myself to continue, who I'm becoming. See, a lot of people think you have to create something first in the concrete, but actually the way it works is you be it first in your inside, and you act as if it's already so. So to me, it's already so that we'll be bi-coastal, international, or whatever. But I just had the opportunity in Marrakesh to break state and to move through the spaces and make friends.
Yes. But part of it too, for me, was just to see the excitement in Jenee's. I just seen her just step into the flow. I said, "Oh, my baby, she just you just did your thing, and I love that, So that was not only exciting but entertaining, and how the people received you and how you just connected. That was dope. That was just so beautiful and was just so inspiring. So
thank you.
So you guys got there early, got a chance to experience the Medina, the food, the people, the culture. And then Thursday night comes around where we have that beautiful dinner, right? And the reception prior to. What were your thoughts about that dinner and, kind of everything leading up to the end of the night? Because we started with the rooftop over the main building. Then we went to that long dinner table and then close it off in Marianne's home. Like, just tell the people a little bit about what you guys thought about that experience.
Well, in all honesty, for us, we had done dinner at the long table before.
Nice.
So that wasn't our first time. Beautiful outdoor table, all candlelight, rose petals adorning the table, she does that periodically. So we were in a group setting like that before.
Okay.
What was different is it was with the family, right?
Yeah.
And the musicians that escorted us from the rooftop reception to the table, and that we danced to the table. That was amazing. And then when your dad he got the spirit of the ancestors
and him.
And we were, that to me, that moment was just amazing.
Man, Pop was getting it.
Yeah, man.
Check him.
Your dad was dancing and we were, but to see that happen, that moment was like, it was another sealing of what this was all about. That the element of the spirit, the element of God and the ancestors are here. And our elder is demonstrating to us that this is what's happening. And he was like, he just went.
It was the ancestral drums, man. He was just jamming to them.
Moves. He didn't care what was around him, and he was really enjoying himself.
So for this man who is not fully sighted, but is Haitian, so that part, because none of that was lost on me. ... The Haiti and liberation. I mean, all of it, right? So that to me was like the highlight of that night.
Yeah,
was the dance from the rooftop to the dining table under the magic of the Moroccan musicians, singers, and drummers, and then having your dad just anoint the whole thing by dancing. I was like, okay, I'm good. Yes. Woo! He took everything. It just took everything. Woo! Higher.
That was it.
That was it. And then you, Claudius?
Yeah.
You want to add?
Yeah. I it's what came to me is the how the drums were just so universal. The rhythm of Africanness, and he didn't have to see, he felt the beat, just the drums, which is our way of communicating for a lot of us. And he felt that. He felt the spirit, because I was feeling it, and I was like, wow, it was just so beautiful. That it was the drums. I mean, that did it for me. That was our way of connecting, communicating, celebrating, recognizing, there's a term in Black psychology we call Bawana Mbote, which means the child or the children of my ancestors. So there's a recognition that, I know you, I see you, I feel you, because I am you.
I am you.
So I am because we are, as Ubuntu, so that was it for me.
And going into Marianne's house, and you guys were there longer than we were, so you guys probably got a chance to really explore all the different places. But the way she decorates her home, unapologetically Black, right? And when I asked her what's the theme for each of the rooms, she said there is no theme. If I like it, I put it up. And she put up a lot of beautiful art throughout, not just her house, but all of the villas. What do you guys think about, specifically the foyer with the roof, open roof?
Yes.
Allowing the stars to see us during the reception.
Well, I think, as you're saying, everything that she does is just well appointed, and she is confident in what moves her, and she trusts that. And she also trusts that it will do whatever it needs to do for the people that come through.
Right.
And it does. So for me, I wasn't even thinking about it as much as I was just enjoying and experiencing being in it. Right?
Got it. Right.
And that's how it was for me. I just just enjoyed the space.
Okay.
I felt like that's my house.
Right.
Welcome to my home. As a matter of fact, when you all came in, your bus came and I came down. I said, "Hi, everybody," and I was hugging. And Jackie's aunt that said, "I thought you were the owner." I said, "No, I just got here early, but yeah, I am."
That's great. That's great. And then you, Claudius?
I just enjoyed her hospitality, just how she just was overseeing everything, just making sure that we was taken care of, coming over to speak with us. Even some of the people who were already there, how we connected with them and they connected with us, and the promise to reconnect in the future. I loved her layout. I loved her art. It was definitely spirit led. I think I saw and felt a lot of myself on her walls. It was easy for me to relate to, identify with. Her house was just gorgeous, and the open ceiling. And I think we left early before things start kicking off, but we did dance a few times. So that was nice because I was about to get into my groove, and so that part was nice. Just how free I felt in her environment, the environment that she created. Was wonderful.
Awesome. And so the next day, the big day, right? So you guys were bestowed upon two big responsibilities. The first biggest one, I think, is walking the bride down the aisle.
Oh my God.
And then the second biggest one is officiating, right? What was it like when you both were asked for both of your roles in the ceremony?
Well, you knew your role before I knew mine.
Right. And
So we already knew that.
Yeah. I got my role. Well, just the fact that she asked me, to walk her down the aisle. And, she called me. I think she called me.
No, you guys, she and Shabisha were on a call and you were present.
No.
She called you?
No. So I didn't know. Shabisha didn't tell me anything about it. Jay called and says, "Dad," I was at Shabisha's house.
That's what I mean.
And she called and said, "Dad, would you walk me down the aisle?" And it took me a minute, to get what she was asking. And then after I thought about it, I said, "You don't even have to ask me. Why? I mean, you already know what the answer is going to be." And it just hit me. Wow, that our connection, that she thought of me in such a way that she was asking me to walk her down the aisle to get married. That was just so beautiful. And that I would forever be remembered, as Dad who walked her down the aisle. It was a feeling. It was just I said, "Baby, I'm with you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. Of course, I'll walk you down the aisle." And then to finally do it, I have to be. I was just so. I was trying hard not to trip. I was trying to I had my stroll going, and I had Jay, and I was just so. And we were taking pictures. And just walking around and seeing everybody just looking at art and a few people cheering up. I was like the proud dad. I was like, "That's my baby. I'm going to give her away now." And to see you up there and we walking towards you, to officiate, this ceremony. So it was Jay, it was you, it was, our daughter Shabisha. It was like, I will never forget that day. I will never forget that day.
Okay.
Well, I found out 3 hours before we were leaving. I actually called Jackie to ask her about my dress because I had a dress made to her because she needed a specific color. Long story short, I was talking to her about my dress is so tight, I can't even lift it to go to the bathroom. What do you want me to wear it the whole time? And she says, yes. And by the way, and it also for me felt like a very natural yes. It felt like a very, it's what I do is bring the beauty, the presence of the infinite into people's lives, into spaces, into my work, as well as being a prayerful presence. And so it felt like it felt divine. Like it felt like, oh yes, this is your assignment for this occasion. So I didn't even have to think. I didn't think about it.
Okay.
It felt very natural to my purpose.
Okay. And so after the wedding, we had a reception, and where one of the things that I will say was a good idea, Jackie had little jars. And she had little jars that she wanted people to take so that they could put a little bit of Africa in it. Did you guys end up getting jars?
Yes, we have to.
What did you end up putting in your jars?
Well, I haven't done it yet, but I bought some spices from Marrakesh. And so I'm going to put my spices in. I have two, one for each of us. So I'm going to put spices.
Okay.
My spices that I bought in the Medina.
Awesome. And let's talk about the Medina.
Yes.
Right. So first part I want to talk about is Saturday after the wedding. We schedule a hammam for everybody. Right now, you guys are pros at this point in Marrakesh. You guys already did the hammam prior to us, and then with the group. Tell these people about this hammam and what kind of experience it's like, because I don't think I can eloquently as well as you could explain what the hammam experience is like.
The hammam is a self-care experience that you experience with the aid of the loving attention of a woman. For me, the non-sexual touch of a woman on my body, just rubbing gently, washing my hair. So let me just say, you come into a room that's very, very warm, almost like a steam room, except there's no steam coming up. You're nude, except you get disposable underwear. She, out of a trough, takes warm water and rinses your whole body, and then washes you with a gelatinous black soap. Let it sit on your body to soften the skin, then rinse you off again, and then puts on a clay mask all over your body. Lets that sit for a moment, and then rinses you again. And then she comes with an exfoliating glove, and she exfoliates the whole of your body, rubbing all the dead skin off of you, and then rinsing you again. And Madame, would you like me to wash your hair? Yes, to wash your hair. And then you go and you dry off and go into a room where we did the massage, and we had a massage right after. Wonderful argan oil massage, and then a little time to rest and regenerate, get dressed, and move out. I understand from women that I talk to in Marrakesh that the native women do this 2 to 3 times a week. And this is part of how they stave off stress and take care of their bodies physically. There's rose water, rose oil. There's a lot of other wonderful products that you can put on your body. But the whole notion of Americans, us and our stress life, where our self-care is simply a Band-Aid, that we leave the massage therapist and it gets ripped off within hours to go back into grind culture. So what I appreciated about how this is embedded in the culture. There's hammams everywhere, and even the men go. Not as often as women, but they go with consistency.
Right.
That this is a way inside of the culture where you take care of yourself and where there's human touch. And what I know about stress, trauma, all the things that plague us is that it is connection that's the healing balm for trauma and stress. And so, although Morocco is not a rich country, it has a lot of disparity there. That these practices that are very ancient are wonderful. They're just wonderful. It was just an exquisite. So I must confess, I had 3 hammams. I would have had a 4th had I had a little more time.
Okay.
But it's I did find a place in San Francisco called Pearl that does something similar. So I will venture there and do my compare and contrast.
Okay, Claudius.
Yeah. I'm big on self-care, taking care of oneself, and especially, for those of you or us who have challenging jobs and positions, and it needs to be done with consistency, daily, weekly, however you can do it. So I appreciate the whole structure there of self-care. But also what was ironic for me is that, like, what they have the call to prayer 5 times a day. And I just thought to myself, what if we, even if it's not 5 times for prayer, what if it's like 5 times a day to self-care, be it prayer, be it meditation, be downtime, but you do it 5 times a day, just to stop everything that's going on with you and just go into a nice, dark, comfortable space and just step into yourself. I thought to myself, how wonderful that could be. Because there is practice. I mean, everything just stops and you submit, you pay homage to that power that's greater to yourself. So I really appreciated that. For the hammam, it was cool, it was cool, I mean, but 3 times for me, I don't know how other brothers would see it, but for me, it was a little bit much. I enjoyed the attention, the aromatherapy that was involved, the bathing of your body. But, there was a time, honey, I forgot what you call it. The
exfoliating.
I was like, yo, I'm you're gonna have to ease up. I appreciate everything else, but this ain't coming off. So that part was good, but I appreciate the attention, the level of self-care, that everything stops throughout the day, and you recognize, that this is a time for peace, focus, and attention and attunement. So that's my takeaway.
And so the next day, I believe, was the scheduled trip to the YSL Museum, right? And that's probably more for Jenee than you, Claudius. You were just happy to probably attend, but you could tell your piece about it. What were your thoughts about going to this museum that was influenced, right? Like that, at least the work that was displayed was influenced by the essence of Morocco.
Well, I just think that I celebrate when people celebrate us. Us as the original people, the Twa, were one of the original ethnic groups, ancient. And we migrated out of Africa to touch East and West Asia and then going north. So I'm happy actually when people say, oh my goodness, not when they steal, you understand the difference. Right. But when there is an actual celebration of whatever we have, and it influences their art and creativity. Why not? It's a part of the human field. And we are a part of the human field as many other people. And so I thought it was nice to see that he had a love for this part of the world, built a house there. Some of his fashions were influenced by his time in Marrakesh. I don't know if the garden was a part of his original property, the Margerelle, and the beautiful blues and turquoise colors. So I thought it holds its place. It wasn't ostentatious, it wasn't too much, but it gave you an understanding that this renowned European designer was very much influenced by the beauty of Marrakesh, and why not? It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So that was lovely to see.
Okay, Claudius, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me that he paid homage to their culture, that, it wasn't appropriated, and that it was recognized as beautiful, as sensuous, as strong, and as culturally relevant to fashion. And so I got with that.
Okay. And you guys, the sentiment I've been getting from you both have been, you guys are very diaspora focused. You guys are all about making sure that we are able to continue to maintain the richness of our cultures, regardless if it's Black American, Caribbean Blacks, or Blacks around the world. What has your experience been like being Black travelers, right? And for you, Jenee, being a woman traveling, and not just a woman traveling as a Black woman, right? Because our experiences don't necessarily have to reflect how we are treated here, but how we're treated elsewhere. So what have your experiences been like in the past or present?
Well, my early travels were to the UK. I traveled with a companion, a white woman. We went to Scotland together to take a class. And then I left Scotland and went to London, and I traveled in London alone. And in both places, honey, I was really very well treated. You see, because also I think part of it is my mindset.
Right.
It's a mindset and it's an energy that I travel with. I am a citizen of the universe, not even the world. And so I don't go expecting anything but the best.
Right.
So when I was in Scotland, the environment was primarily white. I was, this is the other thing. I just got to roll it on back a little bit.
Okay.
Race is social construct. It's made up. There's no such thing as race. There is racism. There is colonialism. There is the violence that has come along with both of those things. But as an individual who is a free woman and a sovereign woman traveling, I map out my path, and it was easy. I was in London alone. I had never been to London before. I got a little, I don't think that it was even Airbnbs then, but just a little
bed
and breakfast, right? And I was nervous because that was my first time being out of the country alone, dining alone, family sitting next to me making conversation, best Indian food I ever had. Got to go to India probably for but best. So I just courageously made my way. And I think that's part of it, is setting up an expectation for difficulty is part of the scanning for safety that we do in the Americas. But I think that there's some lessons that we can learn by getting away, breaking state, and to drop in to some calm, and to recognize that the violence against our humanity, because racism is is violence against, it's a human rights issue.
Right.
That does not have to exist everywhere. In individual encounters, structures are a whole nother conversation, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about moving in your body through the world and what you do to attract and generate beautiful experiences. And my experiences, even here, I gotta tell you, my experiences are 98% of the time excellent. There's a few, and sometimes there's been a couple of real dark ones, but most of the time I don't have that issue. And I think a lot of it has to do with the inner work I've done, though.
Okay.
Because there is a liberation work that we must pursue in ourselves that I've been practicing over the years. Freedom is something that needs to be tended to, and it starts on the inside. And there's a deep sense of approval, a sense of approval and a sense of I belong anywhere I go. I don't care who else is there.
And that's big, right?
Because it's huge.
How we perceive ourselves and how we perceive the next destination really kind of controls how we behave, right? So coming from a psychotherapist perspective, as a Black man traveling the United States, right? A lot of times we have to follow certain protocols when we get pulled over, when we're walking across the street, when we're doing all these things. How has traveling internationally changed your view of how you're seen as a Black man? Because as a Black man traveling internationally, you're either a football player, you're a professional somebody, because you can't just be Black and made it across this far. What has your experience been like, traveling as a Black man?
Quite frankly, it's been charmed. I can't remember a negative experience. I think a lot of what Jenee said earlier, it's about mindset. It's about who you think you are in the world, as a citizen, in the universe, in the world, how you show up. I think what does it for me, and maybe they can sense how curious I am about them. So and maybe it's that energy, but also I'm a large person, I think to some degree that comes into play, because you could be a little crazy, but you're not, but so crazy. You understand that I'm 6'2", I'm 240. I'm, pretty athletic. And I'm sure that scares people sometimes, but sometimes people, they honor that, they respect that, especially if you're walking with a smile on your face. I think that works to my advantage. But also, I think people recognize me as not threatening, just somebody who wants to get to know them. So my experience traveling abroad, I just been charmed. I can't think of one negative experience I had.
And that's great because, this question is usually open-ended for a reason, right? It's not to get a negative or a positive experience. It's really to get your experience because a lot of people don't know. And I think to both of your points, from what I hear, your story is travel with an open mind. Because if you leave with the negative connotations that something's going to eventually happen to you when you travel, unfortunately, what we put out into the universe is usually what comes back to us. So with that being said, you alluded to the time in which we've been locked down to like 2-3 years, right? We've been on lockdown for 18 months or so, lockdown-ish. What does the new norm look like for both of you, right? Your business practice went from in-person to telepresence, right? And then your practice, I'm not sure if you did telepresence as well.
Yes.
And so now that, restrictions are being lifted and you can now receive patients in person, and then just life, you can travel to more places, you can do more things. What does the new normal look like for you guys, knowing that we're still in a pandemic, or is it endemic? I can't remember what the proper term is. But what are the things looking like for you guys now?
Well, I think that part of it for me is challenging what we even, the perception of what we went through. Because we all didn't go through it the same way. So that's number one. And this culture has a way, and just generally the human being has a negativity bias. That's just how our brains are made. So we will latch on to what is negative, like Velcro, and what is positive just rolls off like Teflon. So I never called it lockdown. In all of my I did like 35 presentations over the shelter in peace experience. We're sheltering in order to do what is necessary to protect ourselves for what we understand this thing to be, because for the longest time, we didn't even fully understand what it was. So I just think that is important. Shelter in peace. Really change up the dialogue. So what's ahead? Look, it was 2 years out of how many years you've been on the earth.
Right.
That's not a lot of time. So what it is it's a pivot, it's an adjustment, and I'll see what tomorrow brings. But none of my dreams are not getting smaller. They're actually getting bigger.
And Claudius, since you had to shelter in peace with your wife for 18 plus months, and this is also a question you guys can both answer, right? And you guys have probably experienced in your practice, a lot of people got divorces in this time because they weren't able to find that center of gravity, that the moment of solace for themselves, so they can find that for themselves as a unit. What was that like for you? Just having to shelter in peace, as Jenee puts it, and really still having to help others. Because, the difficult part of being in your both fields is that although what's going on with your lives, you still have to help other people. Yeah. And people don't realize you guys need help too sometimes. So how has things kind of shifted for you in the sense of being able to find a new normal?
Well, I think for me, with Jenee and I just had to learn to be more creative and just be really conscious of what's happening outside of our home, and accept the fact that, we may not be able to control a lot of what's happening out there, but we still have control of what's happening inside here and who we allow in our home, the news, the TV, the outside noise. So we still have control over that. I think it also helps to really understand what you got going on. I tell folks, Jenee is my best friend. That's my road dog. We love traveling together. We both New Yorkers, and we just at this age in our life, we're just excited about life. And so it's about just being creative. Part of what we did was we spent more time in Mother Nature, going and walk in the redwoods, where it was safer, and just getting in touch with the spirits of the trees, of the birds, and just being quiet and just getting out the neighborhood. So I think that helps. But you're right in terms of our practice has probably tripled since this pandemic. It's unfortunate because I believe in the Black family, especially the Black family, because that's my focus, that's my interest. I believe in the family unit, period. But because my focus and where I'm needed at is in the Black community, so that's my focus. I believe in the Black family. I believe in the stability of marriage, the enterprise of marriage, the protection of marriage, the connectedness, the spirit connectedness that comes with marriage. So I like any couples, we have our disagreements, but at least for me, I'm always able to understand that tomorrow is another day, and you know what? We've gotten past so much in the past. Certainly we can get past this too. And And I try to communicate that in my sessions and with my families. This is going to pass. I get that you're struggling now, but I'm going to ask you just step back just for a minute, just breathe, not make any decisions right now, that you may regret later. Let's return to self-care, caring for yourself, for your family, whatever that looks like for you.
I think part of it too is resource yourself. We didn't go into the pandemic free. That's why I wanted to say that it doesn't happen. The experience wasn't the same for everybody. Right. Some people redecorated their houses, cleaned out closets, reconnected with friends. Over FaceTime, and it wasn't horrible for everybody. It was horrible for a segment of the population. Right. And usually it was challenging when you had no resources, inner and outer. Right. So what I tell people all the time is start with resourcing yourself. Resilience is not just how you bounce back from adversity. It's how have you been prepared to meet any adversity that's going to come your way. That's why slowing down, taking the 2 steps back, building practices and ways of living that really nourish you, from what you eat, from how much rest you get, from the company that you keep, from moving your body, from how you generate joy. These are simple, basic practices for how you have a spiritual practice, how you worship the Creator, God, whoever you recognize as greater than yourself, however you generate through nature. But it demanded that we move from going at 100 miles an hour, quick drop to 30. And people were like freaking out because we're addicted to an adrenalized way of life. And so when you get that, I've got to slow down and be with myself and be with my mate. I tell people that throughout the pandemic, I was never alone. There was no night that I was ever alone. We watched all of Sex and the City, all 95 episodes. And it was totally fun because, thank you for doing that with me. But finding little ways to connect and fun. I had one friend that we connected every week on FaceTime. We drank wine, kombucha, tea. We talked, we laughed, we cried. Social connection is still fragile, but it's available. That's why the wedding was so beautiful, because we were there in beautiful community. Social connection, once again, connection is the healing balm for trauma. It's not more money. It's not a bigger house. It's not a widescreen TV.
That part.
It's human connection. So human connections that were not well resourced did fall apart. Okay, what is the lesson? And now what is the opportunity from this place? So those are the 2 big questions I ask in my work. And the other big question, what can you be thankful for?
All right, that actually brings me to a good point, right? So you both mentioned that a lot of people may not have been in the best mental state going into the pandemic. One of the reasons why myself and my co-host started getting my cheese back on my cracker was we had a conversation about, how did you find your therapist? Were you able to find a Black therapist? Since I have both of you on that work in the mental wellness state industry, like if you can give us some tips on one, when looking for a therapist, right? Where should one start? Like, whether it be from within or from without, what should be the first thing that you should think about? And then 2, are there resources in finding Black providers? Because I think the hardest thing that we came across was being able to find providers that were there to support us.
But several things I would say as a member of ABPSI, which is the Black Psychologists Association. Association of Black Psychologists. They have chapters, all over the states and in Africa, and I understand they have
and the UK,
international.
and
So I would probably start there. Also, they have the Black Social Worker Association, which tends to be a good way of finding folks. I think most people find us by media. They go to like Psychology Today, and then you can specifically look for African American therapists. So that's the key. Then there are other sites that if you go down a page or a pull down, you can search specifically for African American therapists. So I think that helps. Also, if you have insurance, you can request outside referral to African American therapists, or just black or brown therapists. So you don't have to, and that's unfortunate, because these entities, whether they're Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Kaiser, which is the main organization out here, what they tend to have on staff, unfortunately, is 90% white practitioners. And when you call, that's what you get. But what people got to understand is that you can request what's called outside referral, out-of-network referral, to somebody who would be more appropriate for you. I mean, they can't deny it. Right. They will try to dance around it, but yes, you can request out-of-network referral to somebody who you feel more comfortable with. And if you have trauma, especially from those who are in charge, it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to want to go talk to a white therapist. It's the trust issue now. It's like, I've been in this place where I have to be conscious of what I say, how I present myself. And Black folks, they don't want to do that. They want to go to a place where they're, when you step into the office, you hear, I don't know, Miles Davis in the background, or John Coltrane, or reggae music that's playing. And when you step inside their waiting room, you see Black art. You can smell candles that represents, your own home. You can have tea or coffee that fits you. And
that's your office, honey.
Got it.
The free promotion.
Right. And when you, that makes a difference.
Well, I'm going to add a little something to that also. I think that you asked, does it start outside or within? And it starts within. It starts with somebody just getting quiet and determining, do I need help? Am I willing to admit that I need some help, that I need support? Let's just use that word, that I need support. I heard a beautiful Yoruba priestess tell me, she said the ladder leans against the house. It stands on the ground, but it leans against the house. You need support. So first determine, do I need support? Then is the kind of support I need, do I need a psychotherapist or would a coach help me? Because a lot of times the healing that takes place is just through the connection of deep listening and someone guiding you through a process and being your champion. You don't necessarily need a diagnosis and also, if you start with someone and it doesn't work out, you can leave. Right. You don't have to stay. Right. You can be open to say, I tried this person and it didn't work. And the other thing that I want to say is not every white therapist is inadequate for us. I had a friend just tell me the other day that she is with a white therapist and he is wonderful for her and her family. So I think that we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. Right. Go where your preference is and be open to move around. And not every Black therapist is right for you either. Right. So it's just being open to know that help is available. sometimes you need someone to help you get the help. Enlist a friend, family member, and help can be found.
So you mentioned coach versus psychotherapy or counseling. What's really the difference, right? And there clearly is like education, right? But how does one know whether they go to a coach or a psychotherapist? Because, you know, you have these life coaches that are out here that's supposed to help you out, and then you have therapists and counselors. You know, for somebody that doesn't know the difference between the two and what to expect, just to keep it short, what's the fundamental difference in knowing whether I need a coach or a therapist?
Well, I think that sometimes it's very hard to tell, to be honest. I think that you did hit on something, that's the education, because they're going in different directions.
Right.
And you can add on the therapist is really looking at real mental health. There's labels or diagnoses for the various things that a person might be going through. And there's a particular process. Coaching, I would not go to a coach that is not certified because coaching has education too, but it's in a different direction.
Right.
It's really deeply about life fulfillment and satisfaction. And coaches also are attuned to listen to their clients. So they could say, you know, I think what's going on here is beyond what I have for you. I think you need to move on to a psychotherapist. That's what I do in my coaching. Okay. I listen deeply. And actually, what's so funny about my coaching is I coach psychotherapists because they're not looking for therapy. They are looking for a champion to listen deeply to them and to support them in life pivots and being courageous in places where they perhaps are not courageous. So go figure. I think you just, I hate to say it's a little bit of trial and error, but it is. Now, when it comes to deep trauma, that is definitely in the area of psychotherapy, I think.
I think what I would add and where I would differ at, and so I think therapists, I'm going to say Black therapists who are conscious. You know, they're not looking to pathologize or medicalize you. You know, I mean, that's old. You know, that's a foregone conclusion. That's not what we do as Black therapists. You know, a lot of us are more apt to use, you know, Black psychology, which involves spirit connection.
And somatics too.
I mean, it's not so uncommon for those of us who are practicing Black psychology, that if you feel like, you know, asking your ancestors to come into the room to help us, you know, that's allowable for a lot of us. Where in Western, they look at you like, what? He's talking to a spirit, you know, let's write him a prescription. No, that's not what we do. You know, we're more sensitive to our community. So it's not about pathologizing or medicalizing. I mean, when we have to do that, it's for insurance purpose, right? So the diagnosis, it doesn't serve us in session. You know, the best compliment I got was from this brother who was just released from prison, and his PO forced him to come see me. And after 2 or 3 sessions, he said to me, I don't know why I was so afraid to come and talk to you. Man, talking to you is like talking to my uncle. Well, the only thing that's missing is we're not drinking together. That was the best compliment I ever got, because it took away this therapeutic connection. But the process was therapeutic in terms it was cathartic. You know, we was able to, you know, he allowed me to help him, you know, because that's very important. So I see it a little differently. I also see when people come to us for deep depression, anxiety, panic attacks, we do have the skill to show them how to step out of that. You know, so we do that. So, but partly it's from an Afrocentric perspective, sometimes often augmented by Western psychology. But I just want your listeners to be clear with that.
I think that's a good point. And To his point, then if you're looking for a practitioner that has a more Afrocentric approach to wellness, that would be a question to ask. What is your approach? Because I've been to a Black therapist that is not what she does. She sticks with the Western protocol. So you need to make that distinction.
Yes.
Are they a part of the Association of Black Psychologists? Are they more somatic in the body in their approach? So these are some good questions to ask. What's your approach to healing?
And for me, travel is therapy, right? So it's one form of therapy for me because there are other things that I supplement for my therapy sessions. In between sessions, I go to the range. If I can get a trip in the mix, I go on a trip. For me, it's really all about, because of all of my responsibilities, I have to find a way to reset. And there's some things you can say to a therapist because you're paying for it. You can't get away with anybody else.
Right.
And so I bring up the fact that travel is therapy for me is, what are some things what is one big tip that you would give a person looking to travel today? Because you guys gave a lot of tips. I just wanted to end off with that one, and then we can, end off.
I think if you can think of traveling as being part of your wellness plan, it's cathartic. It opens you up. It exposes you, and it challenges you, to something that's new, that's adventurous, that's exciting. And it leaves you so much joy. So, what I would say to the person who's not traveled, you owe it to yourself to experience it. Even if because we're on the West Coast, even if it's a short trip to Mexico, to the Caribbean, just adapting, adjusting, connecting with other folks outside the U.S. is cathartic. It's new. So that would be my tip. That it's
make travel a part of your wellness plan.
Definitely make travel as part of your wellness plan.
Well, my tip is a little more practical. I mean, it's like, I think, learn how to pack. Go on YouTube, do all the things about how to pack, because the whole notion of taking yourself out of your home where all your stuff is in your bathroom and your supplements or whatever, learn how to pack so that you have ease. Learn how to pack so you have ease. So that you have some ease and flow, because the packing and the transporting yourself and your things over a period of time can be stressful. And so if you know how, take the time to just get some tips on the best luggage, the best way to pack, the things that you absolutely need and do not want to do without. How do I do this so that it is not stressful? I would say do everything you can in that arena to take some of the stress off. I overpack.
So at this point, I really want to thank you both for really doing this. This has been an amazing experience, to say the least. Where can people find more about you, Jenee? Where can people find more about you, Claudius?
I'm at Jenee Johnson. www.jeneejohnson.com. And you can learn about my work and also find me for speaking engagements, keynotes, workshops, customized work around well-being, mindfulness, racial healing, and coaching.
Claudius?
Yes, you can find, because I've been doing this for some time, if you Google my name, Claudius Johnson, it's going to pop up. But more importantly, it's Sankofa, sankofatherapy.com, SANKOFA therapy.com, We're located here in Oakland, California, and there's about 30 of us and still growing. So reach out to us, email, call. If you wanted more information, I'm happy to help you with that.
Claudius said, Google me. With that said, I thank you very much for joining us. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, hit that notification button so you guys know when new episodes drop. As always, travel more, stay safe. Peace.